Welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast, a production from Empowering Pumps and Equipment as the voice of the pump and related equipment industries. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Empowering Industry Podcast. I'm so excited to be here. It's fall, and I'm just loving this season. Been at trade shows and getting ready for the Empowering Pumps and Industry Conference. It's going to be epic. Y'all know that's our kind of line for that, epic. And today I have a really special guest. I've been trying to reach her for several months. We're on the go at different trade shows. But I missed her, and I wanted to just be able to share her story with you and what they're doing at their organization. So, Jessica, if you'll just jump on here and introduce yourself to the audience.
Sure, Charlie. Thank you for the warm introduction. It's great to be here and to connect with you as well, too. Jessica Poliner, I'm the president and CEO of relayr, a global technology company that works with industrials. And it certainly has been a journey for me, which I'm sure you'll get into in your questions as well, too, because I come from the industrial world. So I've had a really wonderful career being able to work for companies like Caterpillar or Ingersoll Rand, and most recently in the plastics industry before jumping ship over to the technology side.
Yeah, I am curious. I'm always curious about anybody kind of finding, the maintenance way of life. Like, how do we get there? But also just tech and just a woman in industry. What got you into the industry? What led you this way?
Yeah, it's a great question. And to be fair, I wish I said I could say I planned it all out. But that certainly was not the case. I'm actually a lawyer by training. So I was a corporate mergers and acquisitions lawyer and worked for a surface and underground mining company that we sold to Caterpillar for $9 billion. And with the deal, I decided, or I was pushed strongly over to the sales side of mining. So I was asked to lead a sales and service organization out of Latin America. And I told the SVP at Caterpillar no a million times. They said, I'm a lawyer, I have an accounting degree, I don't know anything about sales, I can't do this. And he said, sweetheart, you're not a dumbass, figure it out. Wouldn't take no for an answer. And so that flipped me over to the business side in Caterpillar. And from there, I really ran with it. Cat gave me great opportunities to live in places like Panama and Calcutta, India, Argentina. I moved over to Ingersoll Rand and worked in transport refrigeration out of Brussels, Belgium, and really loved being able to get my hands dirty. So it's a far cry from where I started as a lawyer, but love the opportunity to get out with customers, boots on the ground, and learn a little bit about what really makes the business work, which is the aftermarket and the maintenance side of the house.
Yeah, and I think that there is something about, lawyer and just all the amount of knowledge and just information that you have to take in to be able to do that job. I do see how those skills can fit in this very technical industry, and so you do have to understand the products and still be able to talk to people, right? And definitely negotiate. Being a strong negotiator definitely cannot hurt in this industry. So I heard a little bit about kind of how you kind of like getting out with the customer, going to different sites. Is there any, visit or any site that kind of stands out in your mind?
I can tell you a story of my first customer visit. So I still have the belt buckle to prove it, but I literally just flipped over from the legal side to the mining side of the house and went out to Wyoming, large coal mine in Wyoming, and we had excavators, electric rope shovels, and drag lines out there, and was able to go out on the products and spend the day, the only woman anywhere around, in jeans instead of in a suit, and Caterpillar boots and a hard hat. And I just remember thinking, this is what we actually do. So, it's such a far cry from my office, working on contracts and the like, but really getting able to get up on a drag line and see one in action. And I haven't looked back from that point. So
Yeah, I love going on a plant tour. I talk about that a lot on here, and I do
Yeah,
appreciate now we have women who are creating PPE and different workwear specifically for women. And
for
one of the first
women.
things was boots. I need, safety boots, but also just because I was tearing up my shoes walking through these different plants and things.
Yeah, it's
Today
funny
we
when I would tell people that I worked for Caterpillar, everybody assumed that I sold boots or I sold belts, the Caterpillar apparel. And I said, no, 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 I sell excavators. I work on site, and they couldn't imagine that this little lady was the one who, they expected me to be in a retail store selling boots and belts and Caterpillar paraphernalia. So,
So that ties in with the belt buckle, I'm sure, why
right,
you remember that. And
right.
it is. I love surprising people too. And definitely you have proven yourself since then, as an executive now and living in Germany, and really just, are you still kind of on the go traveling around, or are you more home based there?
Yeah, I say home's in Germany. I have a home in Miami, so I spend some time in Miami as well too. The position's global, and I think I have that industrial boots on the ground where I really like to be out there. I like to be with customers. It kind of pains me to sit in a home office and do calls and do emails and do spreadsheets. So I like being out there. I was earlier this week just outside of Berlin visiting one of our MRO customers as well too, and got to go through his plant. And that to me is a lot more fun than sitting at home,
Absolutely.
on the screen per se.
Yes, for sure. Well, tell us a little bit about your company.
So relayr, we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year, which is hard to believe that, coming from companies that are around for 100 years or 150 years, the decade is a big deal in the tech space. So relayr certainly has evolved from doing a whole lot of different kinds of projects, all of them really centered on data, to honing in on predictive maintenance solutions in particularly rotating machinery, which is what I'm sure you in this audience is specifically interested in, and then also in the elevator space. So we've gone from a very broad base, which I think is probably true with a lot of tech startups, to a much more focused approach in the US and in Europe and in that predictive maintenance solution space. We also partner with our parent company on equipment as a service, so as a service offerings, and have a few of those partnerships ongoing now too, which I think is the future as we see everything is going as a service one way or another. But what really excites me is the predictive maintenance solutions that we have today.
Yeah, and I'm definitely speaking our language over here with equipment maintenance and reliability. I was thinking about the elevators too, though. There's a couple of pump companies that also have that, kind of
Um,
watching the, um, you know, the water and the fluids that go on behind the scenes of an elevator. Something you don't think about at all.
yeah,
Just getting on and off the elevator, but
yeah,
just keeping us safe and reliable. Those things are really important, especially even more so in a critical space and needing
yeah.
that access out. So I can definitely see where that ties in together too.
And we do a lot, Relayr does a lot in use cases or verticals like cement or steel. And to be fair, the market that we serve, I mean, where we're working and where we're putting our assets is really in the most critical um, machines in those plants, right? It's not an offering that you would pay for across the plant per se, but it's really honing in on those few critical machines that make or break your downtime, and then that you want to ensure are up and running. So,
Wonderful. Well, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
I'm happy to. LinkedIn is probably the easiest way. It's amazing how many people, and I think this is working for a tech company now, but it's amazing how many people get you through LinkedIn. But that I respond to everything that I get. So LinkedIn's a great way. Our website, we're about to launch maybe a week from now, a refreshed website, but relayr.io is also another way to contact me as
Okay, wonderful. Well, I have to ask you just a couple of rapid fires.
well.
The question
which
I
is
was
tough on a Thursday at 5 p.m., but do it to me.
no, so I'll be kind. I'll be kind. But really, it's a what is the best advice that you've ever received?
Oh, the best advice that I ever received, honestly, and this is going to sound really cheesy, but I think the best advice I ever received is to be myself.
Mhm.
I was really fortunate to grow up with a father who was an insurance executive. Imagine that. And I'm now working for an insurance company. And a very open-minded mother, and who both encouraged my independence and my free spirit and my everything. And I think some of the thick skin that you have as a woman in some of these industries, you really need to be able to be confident in who you are and what you are, and how you go about doing it. So the advice is really just being myself. And some people will like you and some people won't like you. And that's true when you're on companies, and it's true across the board. But I take a lot of comfort in the fact that I've showed up as I am, one way or another.
Yeah, it's hard to pretend. It makes your life a lot more difficult. So just being who you are takes a lot off of the stress of that. We were talking about that this week. That's why it was fresh on my mind. Okay, so a little different question, similar though. If there was a young person coming into your industry, what advice would you give them?
There was a young person coming into the tech world, and it's interesting to put the tech world hat, I would say, on. I think it's really important that we build products and solutions that solve our customers' problems. And that might sound silly almost, but I think a lot of tech likes to build cool products because it's tech, and that's really what drives a lot of the industry. But where I spend a lot of time talking is about what are we solving for? What is the critical problem that our customer has? And as you know, in the industry too, there are ample problems to solve for in the predictive maintenance or reliability space. But to make sure that we're not just designing or doing to build a cool tech product.
Yeah, that's so good. And we need the great minds thinking on some of these problems that we
Yeah.
don't know how to solve for the future. So being focused in that effort is wonderful. Okay, a little more fun questions. What is your favorite book?
Yeah, my favorite book. I can tell you a book I just finished as I look up at my bookshelf. And it's not a workbook. So it will really, I just read the book Outlive.
Mhm.
It's by Peter Attia, Attia, which is a book about how you extend your life. So how long you live and how well you live, focusing on longevity. And I just thought it was really interesting. Um, some of the data, of course, it always goes back to data, but some of the data in there and how we live better, not just longer, but better.
I love that. I'm gonna have to check
Well,
that out. Okay,
it's
last
400
one.
pages, so it's not a fast read,
Okay.
but it's one of those where you think, huh, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I love how it ties into data too, just kind of who you
and,
are. The last question is just about music, and if you have any kind of special band or music that you like.
people always ask what your favorite music is, and I don't have one, but I will tell something that I enjoy. I went to school in Nashville, Tennessee,
Okay.
and I love live music. So, growing up, I mean, in university in Nashville, Tennessee, you got all sorts, not just country music, but all sorts of live music venues. And I think that's the coolest thing. And you don't have that in Europe as much as you do in some of the US per se.
Yeah, well, nothing like Nashville, that's for sure.
It's a
Um,
cool town.
yeah, well, wonderful to be a college student in that. I can imagine. I'm in Alabama, so not too far.
Okay.
Also,
SEC. They're
yeah, exactly. But it's just wonderful to get to know you, Jessica. I'm excited for you. Congratulations on 10 years. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
And I want to continue to see kind of where we go in the industry. So thanks for being on today. And you just really, is there any kind of event or something on the horizon we need to look forward to seeing you well, you personally, or the company?
Yeah, we've got a few. We will be at an asset performance show in Antwerp, Belgium. There's a few reliability shows as well in the US. I think that's Marco Island in December that we will be at. And then I'm at an Interlift, so an elevator trade show conference in Germany in a few weeks as well too.
Wonderful. Okay, well, y'all definitely share this episode. Y'all connect with Jessica. She, awesome leader. Thanks for being a role model for other women in the industry as well. We love that. Love being ourselves and intentional about growing our industry. So definitely a role model for that. If y'all haven't already, subscribe, like, again, share this episode with someone. You never know what's going to jump out for them and make a difference. So until next time, be empowering. Bye, everyone.